Well, hello, folks out there in YouTube land. Got a very interesting show set up for you. Yeah, we're going to talk about Joe Lunardi's bracketology. Also, is the John Calipari experiment, is it kind of over? They're struggling in Arkansas. But anyway, let's get into this bracketology because it looks like things have kind of moved around as far as number 1 seeds and number 2 seeds. Now, let's start out with the AP ranking, and then we'll get into Lunardi. Of course, Auburn's at number 1. They got all the votes. Duke at number 2. Then Florida. Houston is number 4. They're up a spot. Tennessee's up a spot to 5. Alabama dropped 2 after the loss to Tennessee, and so on and so forth. You can see the top 25 there. Look at Clemson jumping 5. I tell you, Clemson's basketball team just keeps getting better.
Oh, this is going to get damn ugly right here.
Anyway, there you go. There's your top 25. When you look at the coaches poll, it's pretty much the same. Duke did get 2 votes, probably the Duke coach and somebody else in the ACC. Anyway, it's pretty much the top 5, same top 6, etc. However, Lunardi's got it set up different. As you can see right here, he's got the number 1 seeds as Auburn as number 1. In the West, he's got Tennessee as the number 4 team as a number 1 seed, then Duke, then Houston. He has moved Alabama to the number 5 spot, a number 2 seed, and number 6 would be Florida, which is also a number 2 seed, then Iowa State, then Michigan State. So there are 2 SEC teams as number 1 seeds with Lunardi, Auburn, and Tennessee, and then 2 number 2 seeds, Florida and Alabama. And here you can see number 16 is Texas A&M, which is a number 4 seed, and also Kentucky sitting in a number 4 seed, so they're in good shape. And then when you go down here and you look at who's on the bubble, the last 4 byes, last 4 in, you see, man, Georgia and Arkansas still in. That's just shocking to me after what happened to them against South Carolina, and we're going to talk about that. The first 4 out, you see Texas, North Carolina, etc. And still the SEC looks to have 13 teams in the tournament. Big 10 has moved to 11, so they're closing in. Big 12, 8, Big East 4, ACC down to 3. What has happened to the ACC? Man, they have struggled mightily.
What brought you to this lowly stage?
Please tell us, no matter how it hurts.
And it just got to be NIL. It's all it can be at this point. Well, here's the thing. Tennessee's win over Alabama was huge for them. That moves them to the number 1 seed, and that was a heck of a ball game. That last minute could not have gone better for the VOLS. I really thought when Sears hit that 3 that was kind of a gut punch and that Alabama would probably win that game. But at the end, there were several things that went Tennessee's way. A rebound on a missed free throw that was huge. Meshack hitting those 2 free throws. Normally, he's like a 70-plus guy. He's not a great free throw shooter. I mean, he pured both of them. I mean, they didn't touch anything but net. And then Alabama's got the ball down there with 3.8 seconds right under the basket. They not only don't get it in, they have a 5-second violation, and they had timeouts. That's the thing that blows my mind, and it wasn't missed by the Alabama folks.
NATO's, man, you disappointed me today, man. You disappointed me in that moment in time, especially with the daggone inbounding situation. 2 timeouts, and you, for some reason, I guess you forgot that you had a couple of timeouts. But it ain't the ref's fault. It ain't nobody's fault that Alabama lost this game but Alabama. Nobody. Then,
and Kangaroo knows he's got a great coach in Nate Oates. He was just, he's used to him always making a great call. And them not calling a timeout and taking a 5-second violation, that turned the whole game right there. I mean, Alabama had big advantage right there. And then all of a sudden, 3.8 seconds is enough time to get down there. And there was a pretty good screen by one of Tennessee players to give Meshack a wide open 3. Now, it was kind of a deep one, but he didn't have anybody harassing him in the slightest. And he's coming off making those 2 free throws, probably feeling pretty good. And he chucked that sucker up, and it rattled in, and the rest is history. And that's a game that I really thought Tennessee wasn't going to be able to pull out in that last minute. Everything went our way. It just did. That's a game that Alabama really had the advantage most of the game. But we caught the breaks, and there was a bit of a mistake there of not calling. You got to call timeout. If you can see within a few seconds, hey, I'm not going to be able to get this in, you got to do that. You got to call a timeout. And you got the ref right there, just say timeout. So that really surprised me. Normally you'll see a player do that, and plus the coach was right there too. So I will say that was a mistake, and you don't see that very often from Nate Oates. He's a terrific coach, and he's got Alabama in a great spot. Look, they're still a number 2 seed, which is fantastic. This is a Final Four level club if they get hot, especially with Sears. That guy is terrific. But anyway, that's how everything's set up right now. Tennessee has moved to a number 1 spot. Obviously, Auburn has. And I tell you who's doing pretty good is Kentucky. And you're welcome, Kentucky. Those 2 games that we lost to you helps you a bunch. That gives you 2 quadrant 1 wins and 1 on the road. You know Nick Roush is so happy. Oh, God. But let's talk about Calipari. Man, Arkansas has so much talent there. You know, they finished number 1 in the transfer portal and number 4 in recruiting. They've spent the money, and they got tons of talent. Now, I know they've got a few injuries there, but look, they've not played well this year. And you sit here and you look at the SEC standings, they're 6-10. And South Carolina, which is the worst team in the SEC, absolutely boat raced them yesterday. I mean, it was pitiful. Literally, South Carolina was up 36 points with 6 minutes to go, and then they just took the foot off the gas and, just kind of messed around. And Arkansas made a few threes coming in and wound up being like a 19 or 20-point game. But that game was over early in the second half. And, I mean, South Carolina just made them look terrible. And here's the thing about Calipari. He's usually a slow starter, and then by the end of the year, his teams look pretty good. And they've won a few games, but I'm going to tell you something. It's not going well. The fact they're still in, I guess that has to do with the fact the SEC is so strong this year and has so many highly ranked teams. That's probably why. But it's hard to believe that a 6-10 team in the SEC is right now getting into the NCAA tournament. And I know the Arkansas fans are not happy about this. And Calipari, I just don't know how good an X's and O coach he is. I just really don't. Or a on-the-field coach or on the court coach. I know he's a great recruiter, fantastic. There's nobody better. But when it comes to coaching, he's just okay at best. I'm not putting him any higher than okay. Because with this talent that he's got there, I mean, really, if you look, Kentucky was in the same situation, and they're 8-8, 19-10, and they had nobody on their team whatsoever when they started. Arkansas had a bunch of guys that Calipari brought with him. So really, Mark Pope's done a better job than Calipari has. And Arkansas spent all that money. So we'll see. I mean, I don't think he's going to retire or be fired or anything, but this has been a real disappointment for Arkansas, especially given the talent level they've got. And he's not a good enough coach to overcome if his team kind of gives up. And when you're down 36 in the second half against the worst team in the SEC, there's an effort problem, okay? That's a motivation problem. There's no way that should happen.
You're all worthless and weak. Drop and give me 20.
And that's coaching. Effort is coaching, always. You never see a Rick Barnes team ever do that. You'll never see a Nate Oates team do that. And you certainly won't see a Bruce Pearl team do that. So anyway, did want to cover these things. Maybe Arkansas pulls it out and gets hot at the end, but I mean, there's not much left. So I don't know. I don't see them making a run with a super high seed in the NCAA because they're going to have to play some really tough teams right off the bat, and they're going to get knocked out, even if they make the NCAA tournament. He'd at least have that to hang his hat on, that he at least made the NCAA tournament. That might take some pressure off, but this is a disappointing season for Arkansas, and I know they don't want to play in the NIT. Is there still an NIT? I don't even know. Honestly, I never watched the NIT ever. Anyway, if you like this content, be sure to hit that like button. Let's me know. Continue to cover all these big college sports stories. If you've not subscribed, boom, boom, boom. Hit this little button. Won't cost you a dime. Help you get my videos. And right over here is the most recent video that YouTube thinks you'll enjoy. We'll see you next time on Sports Talk Jay.
And don't you worry, you're not going to be hassled anymore about your scholarship.
The scholarship?
Yes?
All the way up with a red-hot poker. I can play anywhere I want.